Been this attractive. You don't start with that. Okay, we're ready, Freddie. I gotta change glasses. It's too much. You want to make sure that your glasses go with your outfit, but don't conflict with your outfit. There we go. Are ready? Oh wait, I think we need lip bob.
I am going to be
hold on.
To see, make sure it's not pausing.
It's not, ma'am. For $1,600, it's not pausing.
Oh yeah, to talk for you.
So we look forward to receiving the whole draft. That being said, today I had an IEP meeting that started at 7:45, which was really early because the Glam Squad doesn't get here till 7. And they wouldn't give us a draft, wouldn't give us a draft. I won't tell you what school district it was called. School district. And so I logged on at 7:43, and I said, before we start, could I get a full draft copy of the IEP document? She goes, it's on its way. Literally, she had it teed up and sent it. I received it at 7:44 a.m. And what I have to say to that person is, does that make you feel like a grown-up? Does it? Anyway, you just do the best you can. Recommendations for the committee.
All right. Should a child have an autistic diagnosis from a doctor before the school decides whether or not they are going to determine if it affects academic?
Oh, God bless the school. So we test children who have suspected disabilities, ILE. The school has a duty to identify, locate, and evaluate children with suspected disabilities. There's no onus, duty, or responsibility for parents to get an outside diagnosis.
Have you ever done a video about high-masking students, particularly autism and ADHD, and what arguments a parent can use if school district disability does not impact the learning?
So you can't. There's nothing to argue about. So what I have done videos about is, I call it the minivan door syndrome, and we have a lot of kids that do that, right? They spend all of their bandwidth and they hold it together all day long. Why?
Education teacher in Texas just call parents to make amendments to special education IEPs to inclusion only without having any data to show growth and make that decision.
Can they do it and do they do it are two different things. So we have IEP meetings to discuss all sorts of things. You have to have an IEP meeting in person, convened at minimum of 2 times when you're talking about eligibility, whether it's addition or removal, and you're talking about minutes. So if you're changing minutes, which it sounds like,
able to fill that role, and it's in Texas.
All special education minutes have to be filled by a special educator. Hang on just 1 second, Gina. Sorry, I have a new Okay. All right. We're down to 50. Those are 50 of the most amazing people that stayed. Thank you. I got a brand new phone and by golly. Okay, Gina, let's ask some more questions with imaginary acronyms that we don't know what they mean.
Isn't there a law in Texas that says the school must provide me a draft 5 days in advance?
There's no law anywhere that says you are due a draft. The only language in IDEA that talks about the IEP document is the school district must provide you a copy of it at no charge. So let's not make up laws, but let's collaborate. That would be helpful.
All right. If my student isn't making progress and goals, is that a denial of faith?
No. It's probably not a good delivery of the product the student needs, right? So, we look at, is this working, right? An IEP is our best guess, right? And so if we, Alicia's the teacher and, Gina's the para, and we're not making expected gains, then we come back to the table and make adjustments.
My daughter is being docked 30% of her grade on every graded assignment that she utilizes for inclusion time. The school justification for this is that she's not working independently, so she's not eligible to earn 100%. I promise this is a question. Is this legal?
And they need to go to special ed jail immediately, turn themselves in, give up their jewelry, pop out their teeth, and give up their car keys. What are you talking about? We don't dock children for using special education and related services. Please tell me these are not people leading our children.
Do accommodations apply to homework? For example, reduced sleep. I have twins and they both come home with the exact same homework, but one is supposed to be having reduced sleep.
So accommodations are applicable based on the language inside of the accommodation sheet. An accommodation sheet is pretty specific. And so if it says that, then that should be happening for your child with a disability. I would ask that all of their accommodations be implemented with fidelity. If they have any questions about what we understood as a committee they meant, let's meet again.
What can I do if my son is medically complex and has missed a lot of school due to medical appointments, and the school keeps denying his DESE physician's affirmation form?
So, I had a situation like that recently in New York, and I said, you're putting an undue burden on the mom, making her go back and forth with a child who has chronic life-altering seizures. And so we had an IEP committee, and the lady was very happy to do it. She was miserable. I think her name was Miss Miserable, but she did it anyway. And so we just put a standing accommodation that as long as he's with the current physician and he has the current medical need, that simply the mom emailing saying that Billy Smith will not be at school today because of his severe seizures was adequate. We don't need to run the parent ragged. We don't need to act like that we're, with the Secret Service and we don't accept their doctor note. It's just ridiculous.
My daughter is 6 years old and was restrained multiple times last year without my knowledge. I only found out after a FERPA request. In the video, I saw 3 staff members holding my daughter against the wall with a gym mat for 30 minutes. Is this legal?
So anytime that your child is restrained, you have to be notified. So the fact that you weren't notified is not legal, and I'm so sorry that happened. Just real quick before you ask the next question, we're going through a list of, we had almost 48 pre-questions, so we're answering those. So as soon as we're done with those pre-questions, we will let you guys start answering your live questions, so thank you for your patience.
Okay, this one's kind of long. My son is in 9th grade, is on an IEP finally. We have been fighting for that since 3rd grade. I received his first progress report, and to my surprise, he is already exceeding his goals. When I looked at the assignments, he was supposed to write 2 to 3 sentence answers, and he only wrote 1, and even though those were poorly written. How is it okay that they are giving him 100% on progress when he isn't meeting the expectation? He is also supposed to have modified work and is not getting that.
So you convene an IEP meeting, and you say we need to look at the components of the IEP, walk through it again, and make sure that everybody understands the expectation Good news if a child actually had met their IEP goals when they're newly starting the provision of special education services, we write them to be more robust and more appropriate.
Can a parent provide SDI in a regular classroom if they have been trained by the special education teacher?
So the paraprofessional absolutely is a component that delivers SDI, especially designed instruction, under the supervision and watchful eye of the special educator. So what that means is the special educator has worked with the student and learned their needs, how they make successful gains on their IEP goals, and then can articulate that to the paraprofessional. But the paraprofessional being in the classroom all year and the student never seeing a special educator is a violation of FAPE.
Okay. I have a daughter that has special needs and hard of hearing. She requires an FM system to be Bluetooth to her hearing aid. We are 12 weeks into the school year and they have not provided one yet and lost the one that we were sending her. They are telling me it will be a few more weeks before they will have one for her, and they are not liable for the one they lost. What can I do?
So, the school is responsible for providing special education and related services and any equipment that the student may need. So whether that's hearing aids, whether that's a power wheelchair, whether that's a lift, whether that's a white cane, whether that is a voice output communication device. So if it is in the student's document that they need that and it's not there, then that's a denial of FAPE. So certainly they can get a loaner one from their educational service center, but to just say we don't have one is unacceptable.
Okay. All right. I have been a special education for 20 years in California. Can a para be in the room alone with students without supervision from a certified teacher?
I mean, certainly there are times that a para is alone with the students, right? That's not a problem. The problem is that are they end up playing the role of the teacher of record, right? So I was in a meeting today, and it was a mess. I won't tell you what school district it was, but it rhymes with, well, you know. And they don't have special educators. They don't have special educators. They don't have certified teachers. They just have adults in the classroom. So, of course, a para could be in the room. If a special education teacher had to go to an IEP meeting, of course para can be in the room. But the para cannot have the role of the certified teacher or the certified special education teacher.
My child is in first grade, autistic, and still in diapers. She is in a gen ed classroom, and a para goes in twice a day to change her. I believe she needs a one-to-one. Is that possible?
Anything is possible if there's an educational need. I would question what is the need for a one-to-one. So it is highly restrictive, and it creates a scenario of possible problems, right? So the only time as an advocate out of the gate that I would ask for consideration for a one-on-one is two things. The student is a danger to themselves, and the student is a danger to others. So when you're looking at an instructional day, in elementary school, we're looking at about 400 minutes. So does that student need a one-on-one, hip-to-hip the entire day? It's very unlikely that there aren't some times that we could fade that support, even if it was two-on-one. So I'm always looking at that.
My student doesn't have baselines on any of her goals. Is that needed? What can I do if it is?
So you got to have baselines on, you have to have baselines in the present levels, and those baselines in the present levels are how we did the IEP goals.
Okay. How do we know that the progress data on our child's goals is accurate?
Probably because you could reproduce the same thing at your house. So today I was in an IEP meeting and a pre-meeting. I love a good pre-meeting. There was consideration of moving the student out of a supported reading class. And so I provided the school, we did 3 cold reads and 3 cold writes. The student is unsuccessful reading at a second grade level. And I provided that data that we just did. We gave her leveled books and recorded her reading for 3 minutes. I provided those recordings to the school. I provided the copies of the books and her words per minute. They weren't words correct per minute because her accuracy was in the 80s. We then provided them 3 cold writes where we just give a topic to the student that she knows about. The student is going into 7th grade. She spelled the word middle, M-I-T-A-L, middle. She spelled cute, C-Q-U-T-E. She is struggling. And so I want my data. My parents bring data too. We all bring data. If they can do it at school, we can replicate that in some way at home. So I think it's very important that parents are involved and know what their students' levels are.
Perfect. I don't really understand guardianship. Can you explain that?
So I'm not an attorney at all, but certainly I would recommend that you reach out to a probate attorney. However, I am a mediator for the family courts, and I can give you some general information about guardianship. So there's three types of guardianship in the court system. There is guardianship of your person, guardianship of your estate, or guardianship of both. It's for 16 months. You can start as early as the day the student turns 17, and it can be granted as early as the day they turn 18. The individual becomes a ward of the state, and then the state gives that adult is in charge of the guardianship of that person. So guardianship of your person would be, you can't leave your kiddo alone for 4, 5, 6, 8 hours. You need to care for them. You need to cook for them, those sorts of things. And that could be, your great Aunt Myrtle. Guardianship of your estate means that your individual, your child, or the adult that you want guardianship of doesn't really understand finances, nor could take care of themselves financially. And then most people usually file for guardianship of both for their estate and their person. But I'm not an attorney.
If I need someone to take notes during an IEP meeting because of my own neurodivergence, is that something the school has to provide, or do I need to bring someone with me?
I would just record on a device. That's easier, and it captures everything. As you guys all know, my favorite app is otter.ai, O-T-T-E-R.ai. Love it. So when I'm working, I have a laptop here that I have my IEP meetings on. I have a full laptop here, and I just log into Otter. What's really great about it is it teases out the different speakers. You can give it a name to it. I think the most expensive is like $20 a month. It's the Pro. It's 84 million minutes. I record everything, and I don't have a disability. It's just a lot of information, and I want to be accurate when somebody says something amazing, when somebody makes a commitment, and when somebody says something goofy. I want to be able to capture it. I want to be in my meeting able to scroll back and say, you did say all life skills kids can't have speech outside of the room. You said it at 19 minutes and 47 seconds, right? So I am all about accuracy. There's only about 6 states that you can't record. And so, a picture's worth 1,000 words. A recording makes everybody else zip it. Yeah, the app is Otter. And you guys can type it to each other because you guys are phenoms. OTTER, like the little animal, .ai. And ask them if I can be like, a salesperson for them. I love it.
All right. I have a kiddo who is in the 5th percentile for long-term memory. The school did not complete a full individual education evaluation. I am going to the table with the parent to request the evaluation be completed. The long-term memory is affecting both reading and math. Wouldn't that be an SLD?
Not necessarily by itself. So you have a couple of options. If you disagree with the evaluation, you can ask for an outside evaluation. If you went to an evaluator and let's say they did 4 of the 7 Gs, you could ask for them to do the other 3. If you believe that they will do it with fidelity, I would probably just ask for an outside evaluation so it's all clean, and I would have somebody else do it.
My child was diagnosed with dyslexia in 1st grade. I have paid for OG tutors and the PACE program. Now in 6th grade, this year has been horrible. Communication is minimal, and the school meetings I had today, the AP kept saying the teachers are doing as well as they can. Because my son isn't failing, they think he's doing fine. What type of curriculum or school model would you suggest for a student with dyslexia? My son has developed a stutter from the stress of this year.
Yeah, so I'm so sorry about that. It's not, in my opinion, ever about curriculum. It's about the teacher, right? I have had the most credentialed, smart, accredited people that weren't very good teachers for kids. And I've had people that were paras that were the most amazing interventionists for kids. So I don't ever find that it's a curriculum. I think first, when I'm always training people, we have to make sure that we're drilling in the right place. What do I mean by that? It is unusual that you would have a child that solely has dyslexia. It's highly likely that if your child has dyslexia, that they have one of the other 8 SLDs. It's also a possibility that they were diagnosed with dyslexia when in fact they have one of the other 3 reading disabilities. So there's 4 reading disabilities, right? Dyslexia, basic reading, reading fluency, and reading comprehension. The reason they have 4 different names, they're 4 different things. And so I've had kiddos that met eligibility for basic reading, reading fluency, and reading comprehension, and they did not have dyslexia. They didn't have it. So if you're giving somebody dyslexia intervention and they're not dyslexic, you're not going to see gains. So again, let's make sure that we're drilling in the right place. And also, it's not unusual for a child that has dyslexia to also have characteristics of ADHD and attentive.
My son's 504 plan indicates that he should receive oral admin or reading assistance by a peer, teacher, or technology support. He is a sophomore in high school now and really does not want a peer or teacher to read to him. He prefers the technology. His chemistry teacher is giving us a hard time with his work being read to him with text-to-speech. I guess my main question is, can this teacher only provide my son with oral admin of his work in a way that provides him with discomfort?
So the first part of that that's wrong is that we don't have a peer on an IEP. 2 entities on an IEP, the student with the disability and the LEA, the local education agency. So we don't have other children implementing a federal document. So we don't have peer modeling, we don't have peer teaching, we don't have ain't no peers on an IEP or a 504, so that's got to go. Number 2, go back to the table and say this is not successful. Obviously what was successful for a kid who's younger is going to be different than high school because they feel a certain way about it. And our job is to make them not any more different from their peers than they already are. So technology would be the answer in that situation.
Okay. Are dyslexia teachers in Texas supposed to also be special education certified?
Why, it's funny that you asked me that question, love. Let's look at this document, shall we? Dyslexia Evaluation, Identification, and Instruction, House Bill 3928. Here we go. It's kind of funny that you asked that question because we just had this big dyslexia bill, and quite honestly, I know so many people that fought so hard for it, but when it finally got passed, and God bless the people that lobby legislators and all of that, it got, as we call it in the law, chopped up on the floor. So, and on page 9 of question 12 about it's called the arrangement. So arrangement A is a non-certified teacher, arrangement B is a non-certified teacher, arrangement C is a certified special education teacher, and arrangement D is a certified special education teacher. So I was in an IEP meeting the other day, I won't tell you where, in Texas. And I said, so it needs to be, for this student, it needs to be a special ed teacher. And the principal said, we'll take arrangement A. Ma'am, I'm not asking you if you want French or ranch dressing. This is not a buffet. This is a child that has 3 SLDs. So this legislation is wonky at best. And so the state has guidelines out, which are not law. They're just guidelines because the final dyslexia handbook has not been released. So that probably didn't answer your question. But if it was me, I would only agree to arrangement C and arrangement D. We do not accept arrangement A or B. Because basically, it's the same thing we had before.
We live in rural Virginia. My son is supposed to be in a self-contained classroom, but I found out they have him in a general ed classroom. He is due for a reevaluation. I'm concerned about getting him reevaluated because I think they're going to try to push him out. They have said multiple times, wouldn't you rather him just be a C student in general ed than an A student in self-contained? I'm wondering your thoughts on getting him reevaluated.
My thoughts are, why is that person talking? Why is that person working with children? That person needs to go somewhere and, stock shelves and not work with humans. Ugh. That's what I think about that. So first, I would email them and say, you've denied my student a free appropriate public education by denying him a special education setting. And let me know when you're going to rectify that. And I would exercise my right to file. I would file with OCR all day long on a violation of failure to implement, a denial of a special educator, 300.156C as in cat. That's what I would do. And yeah, I would rather my kid be an A student in special education if that's his appropriate setting. What a terrible, terrible thing to say. Ugh. 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 That's what I'd just call her and go, ugh. Ugh.
Are there accommodations based solely for fluid reasoning across academic areas?
So fluid reasoning is the ability with automaticity to know what to do next. There's not an accommodation for that. So my son that was in special ed struggles with fluid reasoning. Unfortunately, those kiddos learn by experience, right? They're kind of the kiddos that if there's a bad friend to have, they'll pick them. They often get left holding the bag. They're usually painfully honest. They just don't know fluidly the next step, right? I always say to parents of young kids, they're the child that you walk in the kitchen and they are standing in the milk. And you say to them, why are you standing there? And they say, I don't know. Fluid reasoning in an educational setting is usually marked as characteristics of math problem solving, which not my long suit. But we have two kinds of intelligence, right? We have crystallized intelligence, which we can always add to. I can get more learning. And then we have fluid intelligence. Sometimes we call it book smarts, and sometimes we call it streetwise. So fluid reasoning, we need to let the committee know that Billy struggles in the area of fluid reasoning. So sometimes teachers will get mad when those kids don't do good in a group setting or group projects because they didn't do their part. And a lot of that is because they don't know what to do next. That's what fluid reasoning is. Deficit and not that ability to know with automaticity what to do next.
All right. My child is AU and is mainstreamed. She has a BIP provided from her ABA that has worked wonderfully at de-escalating her for years. This year she had an event, and when I was reading the report, I noticed that no one had followed the BIP. When I asked why, they said they didn't know that there was any type of BIP in place. I sent them a copy of the one that we had used in the past from our ABA clinic. They said they would not use it because it was provided by an outside provider. When I asked that it be added to her IEP, they said, we don't really feel it's necessary at this time. We can revisit in the future. What can I do?
First of all, we don't go on feelings. We go on educational need. So we need to convene an IEP meeting and ask for evaluation, a psychological evaluation to include a formal functional behavioral assessment to be led by an LSSP, an LPC, a social worker, and include all members of the IEP committee for input. I really feel like we should just stop at Five Below and get a pool noodle and just whack-a-mole people. I mean, I don't think it's legal, but I feel like that would release some of our... Have you guys, any of you ever whacked anybody with a pool noodle during an IEP meeting? Anybody? Which is the reason I don't go in person, so I don't get arrested.
I've done it invisibly.
Miss Irwin said she's done it. Yeah.
That's right.
You've never put candy in somebody's gas tank, right? None of y'all have done that. Somebody said no, but I'd love to. Listen, I will do it if you'll drive the getaway car. Okay?
All right, Karen, the important question is, how can someone hire you as an advocate?
Sure, just email us. We have a team of amazing people here to help you. We have a team of advocates that are my partners that I've personally trained, and they're ridiculously amazing also. So just email us at advocate, I don't know, I couldn't spit that out, advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. And somebody amazing will type it in, advocate@specialeducationacademy.com.
I've requested the removal of a BCBA from my son's grid. The school won't remove them. What can I do?
They won't remove, what's a grid? I don't know what a grid is.
The BCBA from the grid. Maybe from the service team?
So the parent is allowed to invite whoever they want. So by law, it says the parents are allowed to meaningfully participate. I certainly hope the school's not telling you who can help you participate. Yeah. And I'm just going to jump in and answer a question real quick. Last weekend, we were supposed to have a 2-day training. Unfortunately, I was very ill with my deepest apologies, so we were not able to do that. But that being said, we've moved that 2-day training up to December 2nd and 3rd. So if you still want to jump in and put yourself under, be rocking around the Christmas tree as an amazing advocate, we have that. So we're still opening that to the last 2-day training, December 2nd and 3rd. I'm sure one of these young people will type that in there.
All right. My child's IEP says their ADHD meds will be given if the child remembers to come get them.
Oh, is that on the label? That's on the prescription bottle. Let's see, a child with a child. But let's just stop there. What the Hello Kitty are you talking about? You know what? I think I might have dropped a Hershey's Kiss in her gas tank. That's what I would do. No. No. Do you want to lose your nursing license? Because you have requirements under your licensure. First, to do no harm.
Can a parent request a self-contained program even if the team feels the data does not show it?
Can the parent request a self-contained setting?
Yes.
So a parent or anybody can request or open a conversation for anything during the meeting, but we make decisions on one 4-letter word, and that's data. So you either have the data to support it or you don't. Somebody's asking, who's Karen? I am Karen. I am the original Karen.
If a parent requests testing, can the tier process be bypassed?
So if a parent requests testing and there's a suspected disability, we provide them notice and consent and start testing. That's the law. 300.111. It says that we have a duty, onus, and responsibility, meaning the LEA, the local education agency, to identify, locate, and evaluate children with suspected disabilities who may be in need of special education and related services. Just a suspicion. That's it.
All right. Is it true that students on 504 plans cannot receive any services?
Nope, that's a lie. And if you don't think it's a lie, you should reach out to OCR at ed.gov. Of course, you can receive services if you have a 504 plan and the 504 team deems it's appropriate.
All right, my student is 5 years old, has an IEP and a need for a one-to-one. The teacher says that their one-to-one is doing other jobs when the student, quote, asks for space. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel like these are trick questions. If we deemed the student needs special education services, we provide them. If we don't provide them, we're denying them FAPE.
Is there a difference between access to an aid and a one-to-one?
Yes, I have access to a gym. I don't go in. Yeah. So just real quick, the 2-day training is going to be online. So you can be in your bathtub. If you're in your bathtub, we prefer that you keep your camera off. But yeah, December 2nd and 3rd will be an online training.
All right. My son is in 6th grade, has a special education teacher under a provisional license.
Not a thing. Not a thing. So let me help you out. Thanks you guys for all the love. You either have, can I just share with you some stuff? Are y'all open for me sharing? Okay. So I was in a meeting last week. In the meeting, looked up an educator. We'll call her Sally Struthers. I looked her up and it says, your criteria didn't locate anyone. Try again. So I tried again. Then I looked up somebody else. This is also the person that's supposed to be delivering special education. And she has a certificate in the state. Would you like to know her status? Inactive, 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 expired, 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 expired. Oops. The next one, who's supposed to be a special education teacher, she is an educational aide number 2. Any questions? Here's what you need to do, kids, and it's rampant in these United States. I think that you'd be shocked how many of them aren't even teachers. Like, your search turned up at no one. So, they're just a human. You have adults in a classroom. I can go in a classroom. I'm not a teacher. I'm not going to be a teacher. I'm not going to turn into a teacher. And even if I'm going to turn into a teacher, it doesn't make me a teacher today. You either are a teacher and then you have the ability to be special ed certified, which is another thing, or you ain't. And I'm filing on all of these. And this is how you file, my love. You file with your state agency and say, my student was denied FAPE, my student was denied was being harmed, and my student was denied a special educator. The federal statute is 300.156C as in cookie. That applies to every state. Every state. Even Indiana. Can you believe that? Yeah. And I'm filing all day long. I don't want to hear Saab's story. I don't want to hear it anymore. Don't care, don't care, don't care, won't care. The most marginalized population since December 2nd, 1975 continues to be most marginalized. Schools staff what they want to staff. You show me one 7th grade football coaching staffing unit that has openings. Go ahead, show me. Tag me in this video. Stitch it. Send me a picture. Show me one, biology class in high school that doesn't have a teacher. You staff the classes you want to. You have plenty of money. School districts have plenty of money. They spend it on what's important to them. And special education has always been at the bottom of important, and it remains at the bottom of important. Would you like to know where your state ranks? If you go to the 44th report to United States Congress on IDEA under ed.gov, you can see where your state ranks. Now, it's not quite an even list. It's a 387-page document. I like it. And we're not crushing a special ed anywhere. But I'm not going to stand and be quiet when you know that you have somebody in the room there. And the words, can we talk about the words? Can we talk about this? They're a certified, bona fide, long-term, intergalactic substitution of the, what? Are they a certified, here's the question. Is he a certified teacher? It's yes or no. And if they are, when you're in the meeting, this is what you do. Can I have the teacher's full name? Yes, Cindy Smith. Can you spell that for me and make them spell it? Can you give me the full name of the second adult in the room? And then you just lean over on your computer and you type it in. Looks like I misspelled Sally Struthers. Can you spell that for me again? SALLLLLEEEESTRUUUUthers. They either exist in the database. The database is going to tell you. And I was on a phone call the other day, and unfortunately the people at the state are not always forthcoming. And the parent said, was Sally Smith a certified teacher? And she goes, why do you want to know? That's what the person at the state said. I won't tell you what state it was, Wyoming. And she said, why do you want to know? And she said, well, I need to know because they're teaching my child. And she said at the state, she's working on it. Wouldn't you like that if you had a brain surgeon? Are you really a brain surgeon? I'm working on it. So we have to stop whining and start filing state complaints. Okay, I can step now. I just got a little verklempt. Yeah.
All right. So what do I do as a new special education teacher when my workload is too much to do a good job?
So you have to reach out to your boss, reach out to leadership. What can you do to support me in the class so I can successfully serve these students? Thank you, Dawn Phillips.
Exactly. All right. My son has been placed in a reset room multiple times this year, but I don't receive any.
What's a reset room? Are these cell phones? Are these students? What's a reset room? What? No. You guys have to file state complaints. State complaints are quite easy to file. You have to file the violation. The violations are pretty clear. where you denied FAPE, where you denied special education. Was your student not delivered their special ed services? Probably don't have a reset room on the IEP paperwork, so that's a violation. And you have to start filing state complaints. And even if you get it wrong, refile it. I don't know what a reset room is, but I would ask if that teacher can be in the reset room.
Right. All right, is it legal for one self-contained teacher to cover another self-contained class at the same time with no sub?
How can she cover 2 classes at the same time?
She's splitting the atom.
She has secret powers. No. 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 Yeah, even Token Cheesehead said no in caps. When you say it in caps, that makes it law. No.
Okay. My student is reading at a 3rd grade level and is in 6th grade, but our district got rid of resource.
That's against the law. You know what violation that is? Let's just do a violation night. And that's a violation of 300.115. 300.115 says in the federal code. Have you guys heard of the federal code? It's this little book. Do you see this book? Do you see this book? This is the federal code. It's like a book of requirements. It's not a book of suggestions. So the federal code violation is 300.115, which says we have to provide the students supplementary aids and services, which may include resource rooms. The book is available in our link, or you can just get it anywhere else, but you should roll into meetings with the law. The law is not negotiable. But these little meetings where you sit in where uneducated persons tell you something, that's why we're getting run over.
All right, so Donna says, thank you. You have empowered me with the academy. I asked for an ARD meeting, and we're having our review IEP soon.
Oh, good. Awesome.
All right, does a general education teacher need to be present at an IEP meeting for a student placed out of district?
Does the student need to be what?
Does a gen ed teacher need to be at the IEP meeting for a student being placed out of district?
An IEP meeting, whether it's on Mars, at the White House, in the back of your pickup truck, needs to have all 5 members. They're called stakeholders. Number 1, parent. Number 2, LEA representative, which could be a myriad of people. It's usually a principal. Number 2, a general ed teacher, because all students are always general ed students. Just some of them receive special education services. Number 4, a special educator. And number 5, somebody that can do assessments and answer questions about assessments and interpret results. Just 5. And if you don't have those 5 people there, you haven't had an IEP meeting. You have been wamboozled.
All right. My daughter has an IEP and is severely struggling in science. How do I know if she's getting her accommodations?
You would ask her, and you would ask the team, tell me what that looks like when you implement this accommodation. Ask.
Yes, I love a good ask. Okay, what is your favorite app for recording meetings?
Otter.ai. OTTER.ai.
All right, and then lots of questions again asking you about consultations.
Yeah, we do. I do. Our team does consultation, just simply records reviews, where we receive opening documents from a client, we review them, and then we do a Zoom review to talk about our recommendations, next steps.
All right. We were denied an evaluation for additional eligibilities because the school said, quote, he already gets enough services.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Try
You got
again.
enough.
Yeah, it's a no for me. Yeah.
It's a no.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of cases where parents sue the district?
Yeah, I have those cases all the time. I sue districts all the time. Yeah, that's one of your procedural rights. So parents have the right to bring forth a case in a due process setting to talk about their violations that they believe happened to their child, and provide them an opportunity to hear their case in front of an IHO, an impartial hearing officer.
All right, my student was restrained face down on the floor. What should I do?
So you need to get context around that, why that happened, what we can do to prevent that, and what we can do to support my child's emotional or behavioral needs.
Should my student be receiving OT virtually?
Certainly the OT could provide you recommendations. The OT could email you, printouts or documents or strategies, but she can't be there and provide OT as it relates to whether it's a strength issue, a positioning issue, because she can't position you over the internet. It would be hard for her to intervene while you were having a sensory need. So I'm greatly caution people from receiving virtual services. There are some that are fit for people and children with disabilities based upon the committee agreeing and the parent agreeing. I've kiddos that have benefited during COVID from counseling as related service virtually. We have to make sure that it's in a secure location. And, the problem with that is usually as an adult helping that child log on. And, is the child really in a private area with just the service provider?
All right, in order to get my son's speech minutes, they want to pull him 3 times in one day because the SLB is part-time.
It sounds like this. No. We don't just shove therapy down somebody's throat. We deliver the therapy, and then we work on GMF, generalization, maintenance, and fluency. And then after that, we have some more therapy. But what? No. Hang on one second while I charge my cellular phone. Hold, please. Hold. There we go. Because, heaven forbid that I should go away. Okay, there we go.
All right, we all good?
We're goodish.
Can an IEP affect your future for high school?
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of people being, threatened with the IEP. I don't know if it doesn't threaten your future with high school. So I was in an IEP meeting recently. Everything's recently. And it was a 9-year-old. And they were like, oh, if you put him in resource, then he will not be able to go to a 4-year college. So I lit her up like Christmas Eve. I said, you don't know what he's going to be able to do. I said, and by the way, that student can acquire those other 4 credits somewhere else. Well, that's not what I meant. And so that's when I scrolled back in my otter. I said, well, at 12 minutes and 14 seconds, it's what you said. Stop intimidating people. That's like saying, if your child starts chemo, they may not graduate high school. Who would say that? So let's stop threatening people with what ifs. Let's talk about this next 36 weeks and what does this student with a disability need to maximize their IEP. Stop. You don't know. You don't have a crystal ball. That's what I always say. My crystal ball is in the shop, not expected to be repaired. So we are willing to talk about the next 36 instructional weeks.
All right. Well, we're threatening people with IEPs.
I would like to be threatened with some IEPs because I'm begging for IEPs, but threaten all day long.
Yes. Do you know if an IEP will impact your ability to join the military in the future?
So, I hear that all the time. A large amount of children have disabilities. A large amount of children. So you're an adult. Most of us are adults or adult-ish, right? Have you just gone out in public and seen people going, I have an IEP? Have you gone to a restaurant? Have you gone to the mall? Have you gone to the doctor's office? Have you just gone and people are just going, I had an IEP. So this misnomer that we will all know that you have an IEP when you were an adult is ridiculous. You don't have a record. It's not an arrest record. You haven't committed a crime. I am not in the military. I don't plan on being in the military unless they draft old people. I don't know if they ask you questions. I'm sure in the military they want to make sure that you meet their requirements, which I would assume would be physical, emotional, their cognitive expectations, a myriad of things, right? And so I would assume if you can meet those things, then you can be successful. So, but because you have an IEP, you can't be in the military is, say it with me, shenanigans. I don't even know how to spell shenanigans, but it is.
My kids' IEP meetings last 20 minutes. Is that normal?
So I don't know how you'd be able to plan for 36 instructional weeks in 20 minutes. I can't even get through the Chick-fil-A line in 20 minutes. So I would say I appreciate you scheduling 20 minutes. It's unlikely we'll be able to finish in that amount of time. Would you like to extend the time or look at a more appropriate time so we can appropriately plan for the students' next 36 weeks of instruction?
All right. When we're requesting outside testing, what's the difference between a DIAG and an LSSP?
When you're requesting outside testing? When you're requesting testing. So a diagnostician is somebody that does evaluations in the cognitive space, the diagnostic space, achievement space, and adaptive behavior. An LSSP is a licensed specialist in school psychology. Their umbrella and scope covers diagnostic evaluation, but isn't limited to that. They can do emotional behavioral testing, any of those eligibilities that fall under the neurological space, autism, ED, ADHD. Theirs is more, encompasses more testing.
All right. My school told me to go get my child medicated for his ADHD, and then we could talk about services later.
Yeah, I don't understand why somebody for kidneys. So I would say, where did you get that instruction that you should tell me to medicate a minor? So I'm going to just answer a question that keeps coming up. I'm just going to answer this question. So it says, I have 15 students with full para, 415 minutes a day, but only 4 paras. I'm told I'm overstaffed, Iowa. So I don't know who's telling you you're overstaffed, but certainly the school dictates how many professionals they put in a classroom. I hope you stay overstaffed. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can I get my son reevaluated? He had an IEP for emotional disturbance.
You can always get your child reevaluated, absolutely. So if they've already been in special ed or have already been tested for special education, you would ask for them to do a reevaluation of existing educational data, and just ask when I can come in and sign notice and consent.
All right. Is there a class size cap for self-contained rooms in Texas?
There's no cap size cap. Wait, there's no class size cap. That's hard to say. In the federal law, some states have some language around certain classes. I know in New York there is some language in the state code, but it's very rare that you would see that for a myriad of reasons, right? I mean, you could have a class that you need 3 adults to 1 student, depending if they're, a high impact adult class with kiddos that are emotionally disturbed and they're, adult sized children with disabilities. And you could have a smaller class of kids that needed special education for reading, but a teacher's able to handle a class of all disabled children in a larger amount. So I understand that why there's not a cap, but hopefully you live in an amazing state and work in an amazing district where your leadership is protecting you and serving you so that you can deliver those IEPs with fidelity.
All right, we've asked and asked and asked for raw data collection sheets, but they won't give them to us. Do we ask now for compensatory time? Question.
So you ask for compensatory time when you can prove there's been a IDA violation. So I would ask for an open records request. We go over that in the 2-day training. We have an amazing open records document that you can get if you're a member of the academy. We can provide that to you tonight if you need it. Once you get those records, that will give you more of a sort of a trail of where you're headed. You ask for compensatory time when there's been a violation of IDEA. If they won't give you the raw data collection sheets, that's good news. Allegedly they exist. If you're wanting your child to have raw data collection sheets, you need to first make sure that your IEP goal under the bottom where it says method of evaluation, that you put these 3 words, weekly data collection sheets. Weekly data collection sheets, so that they are obligated to take data weekly.
All right, what's the difference between integrated and consult when you see that on service minutes?
Okay. So integrated is a cuss word, in my opinion, because there's such liberty under the law. So the word integrated means the provider could do it all consult, could do it all direct, or any combination therein. So when I'm in the meeting, I'm going to say, okay, Bonnie, you're the PT, and you're going to do your service model integrated. While we're at the meeting, please tell the parent how many minutes will be direct and how many minutes will be consult. The parents at least do that answer. Consult simply means that special educator is going to work with the staff that serve the child with a disability. Not a fan of consult by itself. And then, of course, direct service means that provider works directly with the student with a disability.
All right. Our team wants to use a old read without you doing a new AT eval, even though my child has been using a friend's Dynabox.
What?
AAC questions.
Is this in the Dallas area? I feel like it is. Yeah. What? What? We don't use an old read. This is not like you're handing down somebody's prom dress. If you need a reevaluation of existing educational data, then we have a meeting. We talk about the areas that need to be tested. But if you need AT, you look at the Assistive Technology Act of 1998, which provides funding, services, devices for everybody in these great United States. We really go over that in the 2-day training, and we go over it in, of course, the academy. We're going to do a halfway point. I don't know if, Alicia, you can jump in and give us your come on down, and halfway through this amazing TikTok live, you could tell them about how to join the academy tonight.
Alrighty then. So these lovely ladies are going to type it in the chat, but what you're going to go to is www.specialeducationacademy.com. Across the top of the screen, you'll see a bunch of different tabs, but the one you're going to click on is the training tab. You're going to scroll down until you see the academy. Go ahead and click on that. You're going to fill out all your information, yes, including your credit card information. But then, in the little spot that says coupon code, you're going to type in all caps TikTok Live. That's all caps, T as in Timothy, I as in Indigo, K as in Karen, T as in Timothy, O as in Oliver, K as in Karen, L as in Levi, I as in Indigo, V as in Victory, and E as in Elephant. All caps TikTok Live. And you will get 15 days access for free to the academy. And then after 15 days, you should probably stay and hang out. It's only $47 a month, and you get access to 250 hours of training. And then every training she does each week, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. But if you decide you want to leave, no biggie. You can cancel at any time.
Don't you feel like she's also going to be like, when you get on the ride, please keep your hands inside of the ride. Secure your seatbelt and do not throw things off the roller coaster. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Perfect. Okay. Next questions. Are we switching to Shannon? Not that you're not doing a great job, Christina.
We are in a minute. So right now,
look how big Shannon's eyes just got. Shannon just stuffed an entire hoagie in her mouth. So, is that roast beef or provolone you having? All right.
All right. The dirty D word.
Oh no! Don't say it. Denial. There's so many.
The disses. District.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dyslexia. I'm sorry.
That's pretty dirty too.
Yeah, let's talk about all the dirty D's. That should be a training. Oh, by the way, I'm just sorry, scroll shiny penny. We are doing, wait for it, you guys want to know what we're doing? A free webinar on OCR filings. Are you excited about that? A free webinar on OCR filings. We will have the date for you guys. When are we going to have the date for these guys, Alicia? Since I just said it. We'll figure out a date.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
We're going to have the OCR training, which you guys wanted the training on how to file OCR complaints.
Yes.
Yay! Pinch me. We're gonna pinch you, Token.
We picked a date for that yet?
Yes, we are picking the date. The date will be because your friend uses a paper calendar. We will be doing that, won't we, Alicia?
Sure, absolutely, 100%.
Remember, we're doing that OCR free webinar for the kids at 6 p.m. Central. Right, Alicia?
Correct, 6 p.m. Central.
6 p.m. Central. Wednesday, November 29th. Is that good for you guys?
It's perfect for me.
Let me write it down in my official pencil. If you write down an official pencil, it cannot be changed. So OCR free webinar. So we will have slides, scales. Are you excited? Are you excited? I'm excited.
You're excited.
So, Wednesday, November 29th, a free webinar on OCR filings. Am I telling all of you to do it? Do it. And then we'll be open for questions at the end. So there's that. We made a date. Tell your friends. Tell your friends that work at schools how not to be the recipient of an OCR filing. Do your job.
All right, back to the dirty D's.
Okay, the dirty D's. I thought it was district. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
There's so many options.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any test for dyslexia? I've been told that since she already has an IEP, testing for that isn't necessary.
So, I'm always going to ask for full cognitive testing to include all 7 Gs. Of course, there's a CTOP, there's a lesion, there's components in that you can tease out dyslexia. Of course, there's testing for dyslexia. Here's the thing. If you're going to make stuff up, be good at it, right? Of course, there's testing for dyslexia. Silly rabbits.
Right. All right. Do the assurances have to be read at IEP meetings in the great state of Texas?
Well, do you guys know why? Anybody know why they read the assurances? First of all, do you feel assured? Do you feel assured? Actually, when I was in disagreement today, I listed all the areas that we were in disagreement. We disagree with the PLAF. We disagree with the goals. We disagree with the congregations. We disagree with the LRE. We disagree with the schedule of services page. And we disagree with any provision of assurances from the district. Why? Because there's no special education teacher. But why are the assurances read? It's a legal requirement. Your state every year writes a letter to the federal government and says, we promise that we're going to meet our IDEA goals. And based on that promise, they receive federal funding. So that assurance is a requirement because they receive federal funds.
All right, a teacher recorded my nonverbal child belittling her, and then they posted it on social media.
Are you asking me what I would do?
What are my recourses?
Well, I don't know about recourse, but I would hang up from this TikTok live and call Child Protective Services in your state. Because that's a problem. And then I would show up in person in the morning in the superintendent's office and not leave the waiting room till somebody saw me.
Okay, in Colorado, can an IEP kid get a diploma with modifications or only a certificate of completion?
Oh, Colorado. I was in an IEP meeting in Colorado, and they told me you can only have modified work if you have an intellectual disability. I mean, when we lie to parents, we go big. What you need to do is go home. So we reached out to the great Department of Education for Colorado, and they said, not true. Not true. I mean, people that are amazing in special ed are amazing, and the people are liars would lie about anything. And as my mama said, if you lie about anything, you lie about everything. So I don't believe that would be true. There'd be a lot of kids in Colorado getting certificates of completion. But here's the deal. Reach out to compliance for the Department of Education, and they will clear up any misnomer that you might have heard from the school.
All right, my nonverbal 3-year-old with autism has their first IEP meeting tomorrow. Is there a limit on the number of goals?
No, but I want to caution you on thinking more goals is mo better. We want a goal in the areas of need, right? So if there are 3, we're going to look at, communication, self-help, those sorts of things. Obviously, if it's in the 3, 4, or 5-year-old range, he's going to have a speech impairment. it's not about a number of goals. It's about what is appropriate based on the student's unique circumstances. We also don't want teachers walking around all day with a clipboard and want them teaching. So certainly let the school take the lead since this is your first meeting. Have your questions written down. Have your concerns written down, and know at any time you can call another IEP meeting to discuss your concerns.
All right, what is typically the outcome of an OCR complaint? What's the benefit to that?
What's the outcome on my complaints? Fantastic. So there's no typically. So OCR is a pregnancy. It is not quick. It is the federal government. We only have about 500 or so federal investigators in 50 states, and most of them are busy. So it's going to take a minute. I find it when you file correctly and know what you're doing, it can be a lot more impactful where your child is being denied a free, appropriate public education. I find that a lot of states are very soft on their state complaint outcomes, but they're two very different things. So an OCR complaint is limited within the scope. But what you could do, you could join our OCR training, our free webinar. Why don't you join us? Wednesday, November 29th, 6 p.m. Central. We'll have a free webinar on how to file an OCR complaint. Once you've registered, even if you can't attend, you get the link forever. Let's do that.
All right. Is it normal to be given a 504 with no accommodations?
Well, you didn't get a 504. Yeah. A 504 says the student has a disability and they need accommodation. I know you guys make up these questions, and I appreciate that. I wouldn't, there's not enough minutes in the day to make TikToks and videos about the ridiculousness that happens. So a 504 is the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and it says if you're an American, based on your disability, you can't be denied accommodations. That's what the Rehabilitation Act says. It just says it. So if you're in school, we call those 504 plans, and it would be the same if you were an adult working in a location and you had a disability and you need accommodation. What? Yeah. Okay, I'm fine. I'm gonna, what is it, breathe in? And breathe it out. Okay, I'm good.
All right, my student is deaf, and the school has in our IEP to have a peer helper to restate what the teacher said. So
there are peers on beaches. They go out so you can fish over water. There are no peers in the 504 document. There are no peers in the IEP. Period. The only two entities on those documents are the identified student with a disability and the local education agency. Can y'all tell your friends? Please tell your friends. Can you please repost this? Whew.
Like a good peer.
Like a good peer off a lake. Yeah. Mm-mm.
All right. How do I know if my son's AAC is being used?
Well, that's a fantastic question. Just like a new cell phone, I got a new cell phone today. Y'all are you enjoying the new cell phone that's not freezing? Let's hear some clapping emojis for that. You're welcome. You're welcome. I spent my mortgage. I'm going to be living on the streets, but I cared about this TikTok not skipping. So, an AAC device, just like a cell phone. Thank you, Sandra. Thank y'all. Oh, look at all of that. Thank you. I'm thinking about you. Plus, I've got so much to say, I don't want you to miss any. Okay? So, an AAC device, like any other device, can be tracked. So, you want to make sure that when the AAC device comes home, whether you bought it or they did, that it's open and it's not locked. Let's say the school provides a device and they send it home locked. Well, that's not appropriate because you need to be able to put words on it. Just because the words that happen in your house might be different than the words that happen at school. So one of my clients, she just had a death in the family. And so they wanted to add words to the students' AAC like prayers and rosary and death. Those aren't words that are used in curriculum, and so just you wouldn't send somebody's voice home and cover their mouth. So make sure it's unlocked. You can reach out to the provider of that device, and they're all over the Facebook, whether it's a Toby or Protocol Go, or who are the other amazing people that do
PRC.
PRC. Just reach out to the vendor and say, how can I check the usage on this device? And they will tell you. And I had a client who was like, oh, they're using it, Karen. I said, they're not. And they had used it some. And when she actually opened it up and got the data, it said word, and word. So they should be using language with the same robust ability that other kids are using their voice. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the OCR training that we're going to do Wednesday, November 29th at 6 p.m. Central.
Okay. How long does a
Gina,
reevaluation
is that Gina again?
How long does a reevaluation take? What if a reevaluation is out of compliance?
So there is no language in IDEA about the time for a reevaluation. It just says, are you ready for it? Reasonable. So depending on the number of evaluators, the types of evaluation, I want that evaluation to be done with fidelity. A lot of things I want to rush, an evaluation, not one of them. So you might need up to 60 school days. I would never let a reevaluation go past 60 school days. Sometimes they can get it done in 30 school days. Remember, when you get an evaluation, that you get at the end of the line. You don't bump other kiddos that are in line. But at the most, 60 school days.
Is there a time frame that a school has to replace a special needs teacher that quit mid-semester?
Immediately?
I've heard you talk about formally assessing to exit. Does that also mean for speech articulation?
You get in, same way you get out. So to qualify and be eligible for an IEP, we did testing. So let's say your child had a severe speech impairment, and now he is the mayor of the elementary school. He talks to everybody. His language is intact. He's going to be a professional debater when he grows up. Even if we all agreed to that, we could be missing something. Why do we test? Because testing does one of two things. It identifies and eliminates. So we can agree that we want the testing because we don't think he needs speech and language services. That would be why you would do the testing. So you would be stunned at how many families we serve every year that miss something years and years ago. Principals, doctoral educators, the most educated educators miss stuff because they didn't do testing.
Do assurances need to be read at every meeting?
That you're in? Yeah. They probably should be read before the meeting. Yeah. Assurances must be read. It's a federal requirement.
My child's teacher is sharing information about my kid with other people. Who can I address this with?
Sharing? So at the beginning of the meeting when they say that everything in this meeting is confidential, it should be only shared with people that have an educational need, I would reach out to the teacher and say, why are you sharing my child's information with people that don't have an educational need? And then wait for that response. And then based on that response, I would move forward, probably reaching out and complaining to the principal.
Okay. I had a private evaluation done before the triennial. Should I disclose that before the school does theirs?
It depends. Remember, once you bring information to the table, you can't take it back. So a lot of times my parents spend a bucket of money and take their kids to fancy town neurologists and doctors and clinicians, fly them out of state. Unfortunately, medical professionals write up a document a little bit different than we do in the educational world. You might have some language in there that you didn't really want in there, like SLD with probable intellectual disability, speech impairment with intellectual disability. So make sure that when you bring that evaluation to the table, if you even choose to do that, that you want all of that information shared with the committee. Additionally, if you had an outside evaluation, I would let the committee know so that they don't use the same instruments. So if you had a WJ4 done for cognition and an outside evaluator, and the school also does a WJ4, both of those results are canceled out.
Okay. I'm in Virginia. My daughter's IEP mentioned that she has ADHD. I've never heard that. Oh.
Okay. So, I would ask them where they got that information from then.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just wondering, how do we get to attend the academy tonight?
Well, you just come on down. You just come on down. And this is going to be the last question because we're going to log off a little bit early because we got on 7 hours ago. So, Alicia, can you roll us out and tell them how they can log on in 8 minutes and come on down for the Fun Fest?
I sure can. Just give me 2.5 seconds to mute my child's TV. Okay, there we go. All right, so what you're going to do, and the ladies are going to put in the chat, you're going to go to www.specialeducationacademy.com. Across the top of the screen, you're going to see a bunch of different tabs, but you're going to focus on the training tab. You're going to click on that. You're going to scroll down right past the IEP Kung Fu, and you're going to look for the academy. You're going to click on that. You're going to put in all of your information, yes, including your credit card information, but in the coupon spot where it says coupon code, you're going to type in all caps TikTok Live. Again, that's all caps, T as in Timothy, I as in Indigo, K as in Karen, T as in Timothy, O as in Oliver, K as in Karen, L as in Levi, I as in Indigo, V as in Victory, E as in Elephant, all caps TikTok Live, and you're going to get the Academy for 15 days for free. Now, what do you do at the end of the 15 days? Well, we hope you stay. You have over 250 hours of previous trainings, including all of the weekly Academy calls Karen does every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. But if you decide you want to cancel, no big deal. You just go into your account and cancel it anytime you want. And then you can come back whenever you're ready.
Okay. We love you guys. We'll see you in the Academy. We will not have a TikTok Live next week so that you guys can all enjoy your Thanksgiving week. And we will not have an Academy next week. But the following week, on the 28th, we'll be back with TikTok Live, same time, back with the Academy. And then the next night, Wednesday, did I say Wednesday, November 29th at 6 p.m. Central, we're doing a free webinar on OCR filings. You don't want to miss that. Will they register for the webinar? We'll put that in a link.
It'll be posted on all of our social medias. It'll be a link in your bio on TikTok. It'll be the URLs will be posted across all your Facebook pages, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Yeah, so
all things.
She's going to chop up this video with her video chopper, and it'll go like this, and it'll be in the thing of the deal because we want you guys all to be the best IEP team members, so there never is a OCR filing, and we want to know how to successfully file OCR. Okay? If you want to reach out to us for any reason, me personally, or any of our team members, just reach out to advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. Remember, we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you in the next training.